I was still not even touched on 16 disciples, the apostles of Sri Ramakrishna. In this session, they will not appear, but in the next session, they will appear. They'll make the grand entrance, and you'll see how dramatic they are. Each one was an individual, highly unique, and yet expresses the kind of aspiration that we all possess. And how do we relate to the idea of spirituality when you got the doorway, this personality which allows us to glean through and understand spirituality at a deeper level? And this is why it's such a lovely story. Let me carry on. Now, what was the state of Calcutta in his time? Let me tell you. Or what was the state of India in his time? India was struggling. It had two invasions, the Muslim invasion and then the European invasion. It was losing its integrity, its own self-confidence. It was all at a low ebb. And the broad ideas of Hinduism were about to be thrown out, jettisoned in his own lifetime. This man is blissfully unaware of all this politics, but the ideas were being kicked out. And two major movements sprang up in India. One is called the Arya Samaj and the other is called the Brahmo Samaj in Bengal. Both these movements in a way were trying to appease the Abrahamic vision of a religion. They both said idea of God with form is a mistake. So all your Ram, Krishna, Mother Goddess should be abandoned. We should take their images and let them float down the river Ganga, let them go. We must go back to the Vedas and the idea of God not possible with form. This was being adopted very fast throughout India because these two movements were spreading very fast, Arya Samaj and the Brahmo Samaj. And now we see this man, this priest of the Kali temple interacting with the Brahmo Samaj, and you see what happens next. Very unusual is this story. And I told you, one man established in God realization can not only move mountains, he can climb 100 Himalayas and get through without any difficulty. Why? Because religion is a matter of experience. Whenever you come across individuals talking about spirituality from experience, show respect, friends. But that is the heart of religion. It is through experience that this becomes valid. Otherwise, it's all make-believe. It is all speculation. With reality, experience gives it true reality. Now we see the story. First of all, let me just tell you something more about this Ramakrishna. He has now kind of already practiced variety of different pathways to spirituality, including other religions. And it succeeded very fast, literally within 3 days. In some cases, instantaneous success. So the field is ready now. It is time to promote this broader vision into the greater society. And this is the next stage of the story. Now, this Ramakrishna, whenever he finds any individual in Calcutta who is sincere about religion, serious about spirituality, will go to visit him. They don't come to visit him, he goes to visit them. You know, Swami Dayananda Saraswati appeared on the stage in Calcutta at this time. Dayananda Saraswati didn't go looking for Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna went looking for Dayananda Saraswati. Keshav Chandra Sen, who is the leader of the Brahmo Samaj, very popular, can draw 100,000 people, crowds come to listen to him. He's a fantastic orator. All people kind of crowd around him. Nobody has heard the name of this priest of Dakshineshwar. Who is this Ramakrishna? Unheard of. Everybody crowds around Keshav Chandra Sen and this huge movement called the Brahmo Samaj, the modern face of Hinduism, which is discarding the idea of God with form, formless God only. Everybody flocking to him. This is kind of rational, positive way of thinking about religion in his time. And do you think he's going to bother this Keshav Chandra Sen to come and visit Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar temple, this priest, illiterate priest? No way. But this Ramakrishna won't let him off. He goes to visit him. First time, when he heard that he's living about 2 miles away from Dakshineshwar temple, he told his Bhaniya, Radai, come Radai, let's go and visit this God man. He likes to suss them out. And this is how they go. First Radai, look at the guileless manner of this man. First, Radha will go in and announce. He says, my mama, my uncle, maternal uncle, wishes to come and see you. He'll send him ahead of him. Wishes to see you. My mama spends his time thinking about God, and he has heard that you also spend your time thinking about God, so he wants to interact with you. Such a lovely language. It's a simple language. Not that it's a God-realized personality of super, caliber. This is how he introduces mama. And then mama comes and starts interacting. And now Keshav Chandra Sen and the Brahmo devotees are looking at this man, unusual fellow. They're not that impressed. Who is this man? And then we see when Ramakrishna opens his mouth, the atmosphere falls silent. Everybody's captivated. You see, a person who talks of spirituality from experience has got such a certain power in his voice, certain sweetness that permeates, that enters the system very fast. So he starts talking. And then, as soon as he says, Keshav Chandra Sen's devotee says, Keshav Babu, you must respond. But this Keshav is no ordinary devotee. He realizes what he's dealing with. And do you know what he says? He says, shush, I can't lecture in front of this man. It is like selling, these are his words, needles to the blacksmith. They already have enough needles. You don't do that. You listen, you don't give, you don't lecture him, you listen to him. So everybody keeps silent. And do you know what's the first conversation? The first conversation, the Brahmo devotee says, God cannot be both with and without form. Can't be like that. True. Straight philosophic challenge. And this Ramakrishna, this rustic Ramakrishna, using the simplest metaphor. And remember, this is the metaphor used now in GCSE level, in Hinduism textbook, in A level. This is where I pinched it from. Plagiarism. This is where it comes. Keshav Chandra Sen dialogue. Just at that time, ice was being brought from the North Pole, with large steamers were drifting, brought to Calcutta. So ice was visible in Calcutta. So this is the example given by Sri Ramakrishna. He said, oh, Keshav, listen to me. The same God is both formless as well as with form. It is the love of the devotee that freezes the formless God into the form of his desire. It is like ice and water, my boy, ice and water. The same thing which is formless and underpins this reality. When the devotee has tremendous love, that devotee, don't underestimate the power of the devotee. He freezes the formless God. He reduces the formless God to take on a form of his choice and play with him and interact with him. How can he say that? Because he was doing it day and night. With the mother goddess, with all these various forms of gods and goddesses, he was playing with them. He was generating them. The love he had brought this mother goddess with form and play and interact with her all his life. So he could talk like that. And those people muttered, sounds very interesting. And then Ramakrishna, before leaving, says something very interesting. He said, all you guys, your tails have not dropped off, but Keshav's tail has dropped off. It's a very rude thing to go and tell the Brahmo leader that your tail has dropped off. And everybody started laughing, a bit worried, and said, is he being rude to our leader? He's telling his tail has dropped off. What do you mean? And Keshav said, shush, let him answer. So Ramakrishna said, look, let me tell you. I looked at all your faces here. You see, let me give an example. It's like tadpoles. When tadpoles mature, they shed their tails. They can live in the water as well as climb out of water and go on land. This Keshav is the only one who is successful in meditation. The rest of you are just basically pretending. His tail has dropped off. He is both of this world as well as of the other world. He has experienced spirituality. He is the only one. See, this man is able to suss out instantaneously because he comes with that caliber. Anybody goes near him, he can read him inside out. He knows his capacity, his past and his future. He told Keshav, your tail has dropped off. You are the only one successful in meditation. Of course, it rings true because Keshav knows. So now we see this linkage between Ramakrishna and Keshav Chandra Sen and the Brahmo Samaj. A very interesting dialogue and relationship developing. Now Keshav comes to visit Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar. And from time to time, it is very rich and of course very famous. He takes a boat and then they invite Ramakrishna to go on the boat and go on a little tour on the river Ganga. And while they are doing it, they talk of high philosophic things. And who is speaking? Not Keshav, Ramakrishna. And he listens. He is strongly influenced. Because Keshav is influenced, slowly all the other people in Calcutta came to know about Ramakrishna because Keshav would say, this is reality, spiritually enlightened personality. So Keshav is now pointing a finger at Ramakrishna saying he's enlightened, even though he's telling him he's lost his tail. But this is becoming visible in the story of Ramakrishna and Keshav Chandra Sen. So the relation becomes closer. And you see, he's in a way influencing this major movement to recognize its limitation, to just simply say God with form is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. And this is what Ramakrishna insists on. And of course he wins his argument because he's talking from experience. It's not make-believe. It's visible. The story continues.